Hi there, and welcome to the Photography Bar podcast. Before we get started, if you enjoyed the show and would love to support us, we have just two things we'd like you to check out. Please head to our YouTube channel and subscribe to our show. Our goal is to hit 1,000 subscribers, so we need all the help we can get.
And if you'd like to take your support to the next level and get early access to the show, you can come and join us on Patreon. You'll even get a shout out at the end of the episodes. Links to all of this will be in the show notes. Hey, Mark, how are you?
I'm all right, Cam. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. I'm just back from holiday. Had about 10 days away. And the thing is, before you go away on holiday, you're manic with trying to get up to date with things before you go on holiday. And when you come back, you suddenly get, inundated with everything else you've got to catch up on. So the holiday is long gone and we move on. So let's kick off with the headlines from around the world, the photography headlines from around the world, should we say?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'll start with the first one. It's just a quick little story. Cam, have you ever read Amateur Photographer?
I have, and I would have thought that pretty much anyone into photography must have picked up an issue of Amateur Photographer
at some point. Absolutely. Well, crazily enough, right? And it is this was as of yesterday, but Amateur Photographer turned 140 years old. It's his 140th anniversary. The first ever published Amateur Photographer magazine was on October the 10th, 1884. How about that?
That's incredible. I mean, even if you'd have said 100 years old, I would have been shocked. But 140, that's pretty staggering, isn't it?
It is amazing. It is amazing. I mean, I'm guessing there must have been a couple of breaks like during the war and stuff, but it's an institution, isn't it? Everybody's, like you say, everybody's been ever into photography has, whether it's professional or amateur, as it says on the thing, has definitely read at least one.
Yeah, I mean, if it's even got its own abbreviation that all photographers understand. People say, "Oh, I saw it in AP." Everybody knows, don't they? AP, amateur photographer. So well done and congratulations!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! And for the people that are working on the magazine, and the people that have worked on the magazine to keep that content. Particularly now when there is so much online content that people look at, to keep a magazine current is a real testament to these guys. So well done.
Yeah, well done. Indeed.
Okay, right. So Mark, we've got another current. So I suppose another current news story, haven't we?
Yeah, so I'm sure you've been seeing on the news recently. There's been this hurricane in the States. It's around the Florida area, I believe, and it's a Category 5, which is like that the strongest it could be. So it's a pretty big one, and I mean, I remember seeing some sort of news broadcast on this, and there was the news presenter. She was standing on the show, and they had these graphics behind her of how high the water is, and it is crazy high. It's not something that we really experience here. So I saw that
yesterday, and I said to my wife, we were watching the news, and came on and chatted, and I said, that's the best graphic that I've ever seen.
Yeah, I thought it was.
It explained it so well, didn't it? Yeah. For those of you that don't know, she was stood in the studio, obviously on a green screen, and she had the view behind her was of land and houses or something, wasn't it? And it showed that when you get a certain amount of rainfall, how much that rainfall rises by, and then if it went up a little bit more, how much it went way over. It towered above her, didn't it?
Yeah, it was like 9 feet or something in the end, wasn't it, or something like that? It was crazy.
It was a great way of doing that. Whoever put that graphic together, that was genius. So. But that's not the actual story.
No. Sorry, we digress a little bit. So what's happened here is So, fake AI photos of hurricane rescue efforts flood the internet after the disasters. Now, there's been some quite creative ones, and there's been some sort of political ones. So, yeah. So I saw this on F Stoppers. There's this picture of a dog in a helicopter, and underneath says, "No, that's not a dog flying in a helicopter to save people from the raging hurricane floodwaters in Florida. It's an AI image made via GPT." Now, I think there's some creative ones. There's, as I say, there's some more political ones. There's another one that's got a picture of Donald Trump. He's you can only just see his shoulders, sort of head and shoulders, because he's supposed to be walking in water with a baby in his arms, and it's got he's saving the dogs, he's saving the cats, he's saving the lives of the people who live there, which is obviously sort of a quip on what happened in the presidential debates. How do you feel about these AI photos? Because I'm not sure about it, because basically people have died and people have been injured and people have lost their houses, and it's almost like making fun of it, and I'm not sure how I feel about it.
Yeah, no, and I totally agree. I think this is something that we can't imagine, because I mean, we've had terrible weather here recently, the amount of rain that we've had, and it's been a problem for us, let alone what these guys are faced with. And so no, I don't like it. I don't like it at all. But with every disaster there's ever been, there's always been jokes, there's always been comments made about it. It's the way the human brain works,
I guess.
And it's quite sad. And with AI images, I think we were seeing these, weren't we, during the Israel Gaza, when it really first started. It was big news then, the AI images. And now it's true, we don't know what we're seeing, whether it is real. Images aren't just being touched up anymore. We used to say, oh, it's been photoshopped. It's gone way beyond anything that's been photoshopped now. It's been totally, it's a completely new creation. But I think so we do have to watch out for these things. And when you see these things on social media, for those people that are very active on social media, be careful on comments that you make, and don't try and encourage this sort of thing. I think even making a comment, even if you disagree with it, is encouraging this thing to happen, because it's clickbait. So I think maybe just if you know it's fake, and then just ignore it. Don't make a comment on it, and just move on. So, but it happens. So now a new lens has just been launched, and there's something very special about this lens. Now, launched by Panasonic, first of all. Any idea what's so special about this lens?
No, please tell me.
Okay, well,
I'm on the edge of my seat, Cam.
Well, you should be. It says Panasonic has officially launched the world's smallest and lightest zoom lens with autofocus for full-frame cameras. The Lumix S 18 to 40mm f4.5 is an ideal pairing with its Lumix S9 mirrorless camera. So quite interesting, because anything that's small and light is going to help photographers, but it's got to have the quality of there. So we're always interested in something like that. Okay, so this is the world's smallest zoom lens.
Wow.
And I think that in itself is pretty cool. Costs in the region of about sort of £400, about $500, something like that. Weighs 155 grams, measures 40.9 millimeters in length when retracted. And it says, and despite its tiny proportions, the lens packs a decent array of features, including a wider than average 18mm perspective, which is ideal, they say, for video creators. Has weather resistance, focus breathing suppression, and plus decent close focusing capabilities. Now, the only thing, and it actually does go on to say in the article, this is from Tech Radar, is that the maximum aperture of the lens is probably going to put off most people. I know they're probably thinking, oh, it's the world's smallest and lightest lens. And then as soon as you say it's, 4.5, then you think, nah, it's not all that, is it?
Well, it's 4.5 at 18, isn't it? I think it goes up to 6.3 if you're at the 40mm part. Yeah.
So I think that's going to put off people that are really sort of thinking, I want to be really creative and get that lovely sort of shallow depth of field. So it may not be suitable for people. They might not be that fussed that it's the smallest lens. But for some people who aren't that fussed, if you want something small and compact, then Panasonic have released this, and no doubt.
Would you say this is for the pro user, or would you say it's more for the amateur?
At £500, well, it's probably for the amateur. It's probably for your everyday sort of photographer. I would say. I think it's great for taking away on breaks. Great for video content creators, vloggers, probably.
Yep.
I would probably say it's small, light. Anything like that. It's probably a lot of people are shooting on phones, so it's like using a phone with a small lens on it, really, I guess. So, but no, fair play to Panasonic if they're launching something new. So
yeah, very good, very good.
Okay, right, Mark. Next story, next headline.
Right. Well, this is because obviously we pre-recorded a couple, so this actually happened when Cam was away. So this is our first chance really discussing this, but it hit the news. I'm sure it's for those who are internationally listening from us from abroad. We've had a new government come in, and recently it's come under criticism as for what they're spending money on and gifts that they've been getting from donors and all this kind of stuff. Well, intermixed with all of that, Angela Rayner, excuse me, I've got a frog in my throat today. Angela Rayner, who's our deputy prime minister, was criticised over having a vanity photographer, which costs over £68,000. Now, I don't know if that's per year or per shoot or whatever. Let's have a look. So I'm actually reading this from the National because I like to make sure I get this right. So I'm reading from a news broadcast, well, a news outlet. So I'll just read this out. So the Deputy Prime Minister, Angela Rayner, has now emerged that her Ministry of Housing, Communities and Local Government has hired former photojournalist Simon Walker, reportedly on a salary of £68,000 to promote Rayner's work. Again, it doesn't say if it's per year or what.
I think it is per year.
Where does it say that?
I did read it. Actually, Angela only criticised over 68,000 a year vanity photography.
Oh, I must have missed the year bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, beg your pardon. So it is a year. He has shot PR photographs of Deputy Prime Minister, some promotional stuff in the course of her duties, including photographs of her sipping a whiskey cocktail at the Johnny Walker Whiskey Experience in Edinburgh and visiting a John Lewis department store with London Mayor Sadiq Khan. What do you think to this?
Well, first of all, if the photographer's been paid £68,000 a year, fair play to the photographer. I don't know if it's a he or a she.
Right, well, it's his name's Simon. So
okay, Simon, right? Okay, so Simon. Okay, so well Simon done, Walker. Simon. Okay, I'd do it for £68,000 a year.
Well, yeah, I'm not having a photographer here. Is this money well spent? Because obviously this is, I'm guessing, coming from us, the taxpayer, eventually. So
it is now. First of all, it's very easy to knock it, okay, but it also depends on where the images are being used. Yes, you're probably going to see loads of these pictures, but however, okay, you have to remember that part of Angela Rayner's role as Deputy Prime Minister is also based on doing good for the country and winning contracts and that type of thing. So her and bringing work into the country. And so her images are probably used in a lot of marketing material, particularly, say really abroad, I don't know whether I'm going to explain myself very well on this, but particularly abroad where they might be, the British government might be marketing themselves to say, look, use the UK to do this. We can do this for you. So although this photographer is being paid £68,000 a year, her images may actually well be generating millions of pounds of revenue. Okay, so the £68,000 becomes a drop in the ocean because it's the way because the headline, it says £68,000 a year vanity photographer, but it's like any headline. How accurate is that? And at the end of the day, she's our deputy prime minister, and if there are images of her that are being used as marketing images across the world, and it generates money, they need to be good pictures. She needs to look good in those pictures.
I
Right.
agree with all the things you said there because we do live in a world where image is key. You've got social media, the imagery needs to go out of people doing their jobs and stuff. The only thing that gets in my goat a little bit is the £68,000 part. So I'm guessing, is it really value for money?
Well, this just yeah. Well, this
They've gone for someone who's obviously, yes, he's obviously very good. I'm not saying he's not worth the money. I'm just saying, should maybe a government, because these photographs I'm seeing, they're not. I mean, I could take these photos and I could do them for £40,000 a year. Did you know what I mean? It's
I do. I do. But the thing is
do
the
you hear what I'm
photographer.
saying? And
I
it's
do.
just if this guy was also doing stuff for Keir Starmer and also for Sadiq Khan and was actually not just following Angela Rayner, then I don't know. I think there's a value for money issue here. Not necessarily the vanity photographer part. The word vanity is obviously stuck in there by news articles who don't like Angela Rayner, of course, because it's not a vanity photographer, it's a documentary photographer. That's what's going on. But for me, it's the value for money. Did they need a photographer that's nearly £70,000 a year?
Yeah, but the thing is we don't know how, as I said, how much are those images generating? How much?
Yeah, but
how much revenue?
Yeah, but those images will generate the same amount whether it's taken by a £20,000 a year photographer or a £68,000. That's my point. The pictures aren't these pictures I'm seeing, they're not groundbreaking. Do you know what I mean? They're not.
Sure, but we're not seeing a lot of. We're seeing a little drop in the ocean of the pictures that are actually being shot. There's probably been some very good ones. There's probably ones that have been very time intensive. He's probably the photographers probably having to work silly hours in some cases, as all photographers do. All I'm saying, Mark, is that it's very easy to knock this when we don't really know. Sort of someone said, right, £68,000 a year, not going to just pay because it's to make you look good, but £68,000 a year, what is, that's come out of a budget somewhere. We're going to use this because this is what this is going to create. So if I do some work for a company to shoot some products, they need to be making, those images need to be making money for them. So
but I'm looking at the pictures here and they're not all that. I'm sorry, Mr. Walker. I'm sure you're very, very good. I don't want to be knocking the photographer here. My point is,
But the thing,
he's a renowned photographer, and his name obviously carries a bit of weight, which is why it's £68,000. But if you got John Smith to do it, who is as good. Well, not as good. Do you know what I mean? I just think £68,000 is a lot of money. I don't have an issue with the photographer. It's just the £68,000.
But you don't know. You don't know how. You don't know what the deal is. You don't know whether that includes copyright of images. You don't know whether the amount of hours this photographer is expected to do. So we don't really know what the £68,000 is. What's it? What is the £68,000 a year for? We don't actually really know. Now, what I'd like to, this is supposed to be a quick headline, but I do want to look, I just want to mention 2 or 3 of the comments, which I love to read comments on some of these. I'm going to read 2 or 3. The first one just says, felt quite sick reading this. I don't know why.
Well, that's obviously someone who didn't want Labour to get in. So there is, you've got to be very careful of this.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And then someone making comments about what she wears and all that. However, there are a couple of good comments here. Somebody says, okay, with so many people now having mobile phones that take excellent photos, is it beyond the wit of people like Rayner to get one of the staffers to take the photos?
That's
plainly it is.
Yeah.
Now, right. In some cases, I'm sure that's happening anyway. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, there's a reply to that. Okay. And I like this. I've only read it briefly. It says, in reply to that comment, it says a phone will never compete with a proper camera for professional quality images.
Yeah, no, that's true.
And more importantly, someone who can get the best out of the camera. If there's a need for the work of a minister and others in their department to be photographed, then that will require the employment of a photographer. The question is whether that's something that's needed, at least as a full-time position. It's a government photographer who takes photos for several ministers and departments as needed, rather than a dedicated photographer. Each department is a possibility, which is something you were sort of talking about.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's lots of this, and someone says her credibility is shot. Sick fed up of her telling us her working class background when it's clear she's climbed up the pile and is looking down at us. It's all, it's all irrelevant.
That stuff is irrelevant, and it's not about that. I understand why she needs a photographer.
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. So
does it need to be £68,000? That's the point.
exactly.
But anyway,
That's the
moving
quick
on.
headline on that one. Anyway,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah, yeah,
right
yeah.
now then 4. Okay, now it's really good to see and hear what camera equipment and camera bodies in particular, are the biggest sellers, when
Yeah.
you read end of year things. But something that's just come in, released, was Yodobashi Camera in Japan has posted its latest ranking report for September. It says now a Yodobashi camera is one of the largest retailers in Japan,
Right.
and
Okay.
so it's pretty significant at what prosumer and professional camera users are purchasing. Okay. And now, bearing in mind that this has come from Canon Rumors, okay,
Right. Okay.
and it says here that Canon took 4 places overall,
Okay.
and these cameras on sale. And so, what I'm going to do is I'm going to just read out the top 10. I'm not going to go into any detail about these, okay?
No.
But this is actually what it says. So these are the top 10 best sellers by one of Japan's largest retailers, Yodobashi Camera, in September. So starting from bottom place, it's not bottom, but top 10, starting at number 10, the Fujifilm X-T50 with the 15-45mm lens kit. Number 9, the Canon EOS R10 with an 18-150mm lens. Coming in at number 8, Sony FX3 body. Number 7, Sony A7 IV body, which I've just bought.
Yeah.
Speaking about recently, although there is a big flaw with that. Coming in at number 6, the Canon EOS R50 double zoom kit. Number 5, the Sony A7C II zoom lens. Number 4, the Sony A7C Mark II body. And the top 3, the Sony Vlogcam ZV-E10 Mark II double zoom lens. And
that says a lot. That's a Vlogcam is number 3.
It is. Don't you think? Yeah,
that's saying a lot.
And number 2 is the Canon R5 Mark II body.
Okay.
And coming in at number 1, which I'm very happy with actually, is the Canon R6 Mark II.
Yay! Body. Well, I mean, we both got Mark 1s, haven't we?
We used Mark 1. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it looks like the Canon R5 and the Canon R6 and the Sony Vlogcam are the 3 top sellers at Japan, one of Japan's largest retailers for September.
I mean, I think actually the big news there, not a single Nikon in that top 10.
No, there isn't. And I think that's I don't know why.
I don't know why, because Nikon, I think, have upped their game recently. Maybe in the next couple of months you'll start seeing more Nikon cameras up there. I guess maybe it's just finding its way to trickle through the sales numbers. But it is surprising. I mean, there's one Fuji camera there, which was at number 10, and then the rest are Sony and Canon. Interesting.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Always interesting to read this. Again, I always come back to the comments. Just a couple of quick comments. Someone has actually said the Sony Vlogcam ZV-E10 Mark II kit continues to sell well, and that came in at number 3. It said, "And Canon, are you listening?" It says, "We need a competitive small mirrorless camera without the EVF bump and with a video first feature set." So basically, they're saying, we want a really good vlogging camera. And look at what Sony are doing.
They will. They're not stupid. They will.
Yeah. Well, exactly. That's right. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff. Mark, let's grab a drink and move on. Right, Mark. Okay. So, something that you wanted to talk about that you came up with, didn't you?
Well, yes. I mean, I did see an article, and I don't really want to talk about the article. It was just something that maybe it's something that we should talk about. I will sort of shout it out where the inspirations come from. It is another F-Stoppers one, but it's about having negative comments on your social media, on your photography. We could even talk about, I guess, some negative comments that we have on our podcast. On a podcast post, but it's about dealing with it and how you and how you cope with it, basically. I mean, I think I've had a bit of a turnaround, really, especially with the podcast stuff. I used to really sort of worry about it. Do you know what I mean? Or, if I'm going to get a negative comment and it's all going to spiral out of control, then my business will be dead. Do you know what I mean? You just have these sort of nightmare scenarios running through your head, but it's not really like that. And I have to say, when really with the podcast, we've had some not negative comments, but argumentative comments or comments that I thought a bit, that's not fair. But actually, I'm kind of like, no, bring it on, because if someone comments, then that helps with our content go up the algorithm charts, and we get more people looking at it. So now when people comment, whatever it is, I'm really inviting a slew of negative comment on us now, aren't I? Yeah, no, the way I say, okay, someone's commented on it, whether it's positive or negative, or whether he agrees or not, it doesn't matter. It's going to help us with the algorithms and get our content in front of more people. So I have a different mindset on it now.
So I came up, I don't know if I've mentioned it to you, Mark, but for those that don't know, that I also do photography teaching and the group, my own students as well, and which has been going for about 11 years. So it's very well established, and with my teaching background as well, it's something that I'm able to do. And I put an advert out on social media going back. It actually been running for several weeks leading up to the beginning of a new course. And somebody put a comment and said something like, and I should have brought it up and I would have read it exactly for what it said, but it said something like, what qualifications do you have? Where is your syllabus? And a couple of other things, one-liners. And it really annoyed me. My first reaction was, because it was the way it had been written. What qualifications do you have? Where is your syllabus? It was basically like that. Okay. So I don't have anything to worry about, but I just thought that's a negative comment that someone else is going to look at and think, I'm not going to bother with this, when they've got no idea, no background at all. So I immediately thought, okay, right, well, I'll reply back and say, here's the qualifications. This is what I've done. This is what I do. Here's what the school's all about. It's been established 11 years, blah, blah, and think about it. And luckily for me, I had to leave because I read it at home, and I had to leave that morning. So I didn't have time to put together a response, not even a short response. And I was thinking about it in the car as I was driving. And a little thing like that really bugged me.
Yeah, it gets you. Yeah.
And when I got to my office, I had time to think about it. And I know all of those comments, that all of the responses to those comments are on our website. They're on the website. Okay. So I just put a very polite saying, thank you for your response, blah, blah. In response to your comments, you can find all of the answers to your questions on our website, and I put a link, and that was it. Kept it really professional, kept it clear. And since then I've forgotten about it until you brought this up for this.
Yeah.
But that was one person as a keyboard warrior that's very easily didn't think about, right, okay, well, before I make a comment, I'm going to do a bit of research. Let me click on their website, because the advert that he saw linked to our website. Okay, and all he had to do was say, let me go and find out a little bit about this before I put a throwaway comment. I'm not going to even knock the comment in a way, because that's what people do.
That comment really, it could be a whole range of things. It could be someone just wanting to react to something because they feel, or maybe they're getting deluged with adverts for schools and stuff, because I get a lot of them as well, and I'm thinking, well, why does this guy think he can teach me something? Do you know what I mean? Maybe he can, maybe he can't, maybe she can, maybe she can't. It doesn't really matter, but I just refrain from posting, whereas this person didn't. The other thing is, it could be a competitor, of course. Just trying to.
I thought all of that
could be
that.
Or it could just be a troller. And this is the thing, there's so many people now who just enjoy trolling people online. And I remember years and years ago, my first ever real thing I had with this was on I used to have a personal Instagram page where I just posted a few things that I was doing as far as photography was concerned. I don't like putting my life out on there, but my photography is fine. And I took a picture of a work colleague. It's back when I worked at Venture, and this was back in the late noughties, I think, where one of the aesthetics was this hyper real neon looking skin, and it was overly saturated with softener. It was meant to look fake. It wasn't meant to, it was just like this artistically sort of. Anyway, I posted this thing on my Instagram page, and I got this comment on there, and it was brilliant. So this guy, the guy I shot, he had this long fringe, and he had my jacket on, and he had a collar up and stuff, and he had aviators on. And this comment came up, and it was brilliant. It was, "Oh mate, you're just a 1D wannabe. This is, you look so rubbish. Blah 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 blah." And it took me a while to work out what they meant. 1D wannabe. I didn't know, but it was when One Direction were pretty big.
Right.
So then I posted a comment, and I am paraphrasing all this, but I went, I take it when you say 1D, you mean One Direction. Well, just to let you know, this isn't me in the photo. I took the photo. And then a couple of days later, I noticed he had deleted his comment, or she deleted. I don't know who it was. Yeah. And I still got the comment somewhere that I put on. And it's just people wanting to, I don't know. I'm not sure if some people just want attention or what. I just don't get it, or want that interaction. I don't know. But the fact that Carol.
Yeah, so I was going to say, the comment that you just made there, you can separate social media for two things, can't you? As marketing, and for wanting attention.
Yeah.
For what you were just sort of saying there, is it people wanting attention? Yes, it is people wanting attention. Or you could say, well, no, it's clever marketing.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of both. I mean, obviously the post I put up there was, I guess, attention seeking. Of course it is. I mean, every post you put on there is attention seeking, whether it's marketing or not. If you put a picture of your food up on Instagram, you're wanting attention. So I guess, it's a circle, isn't it? But I think with businesses, I mean, as I say, I'm pretty okay with. It doesn't really bother me as far as the podcast is concerned. If someone wants to say something that disagrees with me, that's fine. You can disagree with me. I guess when someone gets a bit, if you have put some work up there that you're really proud of, and someone just goes on there and rips it to shreds, that I can get under my skin a little bit. I haven't had it really, but
yeah, of course. Now, but before I sort of comment on that, I want to just flip it the other way for a moment, Mark. Okay, because there are also people that will make very positive comments. Okay, which makes us feel great. Now, but hear me out on this for a moment, okay? Because I came across this thing and this post, and it said if LinkedIn was real life, and it's a little comedy sketch they've had, okay, where someone says, someone says, I'm buying the boys a round of beers or something, and someone's response to it is, "This is fantastic news. I endorse this. I'm really pleased, right? I'm really pleased for you," type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. And then they show him holding a load of glasses, load of pints, and he's bought them, and says someone, "Fantastic. I'm really proud. I'm really proud of you," type of thing.
Yeah.
And basically and they call it fake positive. Okay. So, if you see something on LinkedIn, or you see something on Instagram or something, and it's somebody who you either or a company maybe that you've done some work for, and they put a post up, and you make this positive comment, "Oh wow, that's really great. I bet you're really pleased." That's fake positive.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think? Okay.
Yeah, of course it is. Now
we're talking about negative stuff, but when you think about it, when you break down the positive stuff, how genuinely are we actually being? If I put a comment and say, "Oh, I went out with my mates last night and I bought them all a meal," and I posted that on Instagram, and I would have had comments like, "Oh, that's so nice of you. What a great person you are.
Yeah,
I must been really pleased." How I feel really great, and do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you can look at it the flip side and how.
Look at those posts there, though. I mean, generally, it is about attention seeking. If you were to put on, "Oh, I've just bought everyone dinner," or whatever, it's, "Look at me, aren't I great?" That's what that post is saying.
That's what you're saying, isn't
it? That's what the post is saying. And
yes.
What you want from that post saying that is people going, "Yes, you are a great guy." That's which is why I don't post any of that nonsense, because I just find. This is the bit of social media I just cannot stand. Is this concept? It's very rare I take a picture of my dinner. I mean, it has to be presented in quite an amazing way.
Yeah.
or cooked and visually cooked very well
Yeah.
in a quite an amazing way for me to want to take a picture of it. And even then, the chance of me putting it on a social media page is next to nothing. It's just not going to happen, right? It's really just for prosperity for me. However, I know Jordan, he every time we do a wedding, he always takes pictures of the food.
Yeah, but he doesn't post them.
Now, he posts them on WhatsApp though, doesn't he? Which is a kind of social media.
Oh yeah, but I think that's in a little private group rather
It,
than putting it
it
out
is a
there
little.
on social media or something. That's just for
It
us.
is. It.
Yeah.
I know it is, but there's still a little bit of the same thing, isn't there? It's. I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm not dissing Jordan here, by the way. Don't
No,
think
no,
I'm.
of course not. No, no. But you see,
But
I think that it. Yeah,
it
I
is
think that.
about us, but and it's a smaller group of people. You're not putting it out there to the world, but it's still a
No, I
similar
think yeah.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah, well, yes. I guess
Yeah.
it is. I hadn't thought of it like that. I sort of view that as different because it's just
Well,
having
it's
a chat
banter. Yeah, it's banter
with your
between us. I guess there
friend.
is a
That's
bit of
right.
difference there. You know, I
Yeah, that's right.
understand
Yeah.
that.
Whereas I think once once you start to put it on, say Instagram and stuff like that,
Yeah,
then you're waiting for comments to
there
come
is a
in. Now,
difference, of course.
yeah. Now, if you put your if you were to put say some pictures of some food that you took up, and say you took them professionally, Mark, for a
Yeah.
client,
Mm,
and you want to get comments, and you're
mm.
hoping to get positive comments, and somebody does make a negative comment, there's many different ways of dealing with it. You could actually sort of say, well, that person's just jealous, that person's a competitor, that person doesn't know what he or she's talking about, they've not really thought about it. But these things play on your mind, don't
They
they? So
do.
if your work is criticized on social media especially, then that's something different. Now,
Ha-
what if you get criticized by a client of yours? Okay, what if a client says, look, I'm not happy with this picture or my pictures? Okay,
I
that's
guess
different.
that
That's a different
there
thing.
is different thing. I guess I mean how would you deal with each of those? I know how I would deal with them, but how would you deal with a randomer slagging off your work, right? It's got nothing to do with you, nothing to do with the client shoot or anything like that. Okay. Let's say they tear it to shreds. Rightly or wrongly, okay, it doesn't matter if they got any validity to what they're saying, they've just done it.
Mm,
So you got that type of comment, and then you've got another comment where it is actually a client, and they've put on a comment. Again, this could be rightly or wrongly, whatever. I know you look after your clients, so it's probably not something you get a lot of, but you might have a client that puts an image, or might not even be an image of them. It might be a separate wedding you've taken a picture of,
mm,
and this client says, "Well, he took my photographs last year and he was rubbish."
mm.
How do you deal with those type of comments?
I think first of all, I've got to say I've not been in that situation.
No,
However, if somebody put a negative comment, let's say we put a picture, whether it's a picture of a wedding or it's a picture of a product, it doesn't matter what type of shoot it is. If someone makes a negative comment, you ignore it. Okay. But personally, that's what I would do. I wouldn't
yeah,
comment on it. I wouldn't say anything. I'd leave it where it actually was. I
yeah,
think silence speaks volumes in those situations, because as
yeah.
soon as you make a comment, that you've opened up you've opened up dialogue,
You're
and
inviting them in like a
you're
vampire,
inviting
aren't
them
you?
in and going down a very deep rabbit hole,
Yeah,
that could turn very unpleasant, and it's going to constantly be on your mind. It's going to fire you up. Ignore it. Okay,
mm.
move on. It's probably some spotty little teenager, right? Or a competitor.
Yeah,
Okay,
who could also be a spotty little teenager. You never
oh,
know.
it could also be. He probably is your competitor these days. Okay, it's just ignore it. It's just completely ignore it. If it's again somebody who then says, "Oh, I use this photographer for my wedding, and he or she was crap," whatever. Again, ignore it. It's very easy to really take offense. But do you know something, Mark? These things get seen and forgotten.
Yeah,
Okay, the only people that they actually bother for more than a day is it would be us, right? It would be the
mm.
person that's being criticized. Other than that, it's forgotten about, and the person that made the comment, the negative comment, has also forgotten about it as well, has made the comment and moved on.
Yeah.
But
I
you
mean,
can't help but take it personally.
I would probably. I mean, I would do things. I think slightly different to what you just said there. If it was me. So first off, if it was a randomer just having a pop at my work, I agree with you. Just ignore it. You don't want to invite them in. Um, Just because at the end of the day, a comment will actually bring your work to more people and let people make up their minds. If they see the work and they see the comment, they'll either agree with the comment or they won't. And if you're pretty confident with your work on how good your work is, then you know most people will disagree with the negative comments. So yeah, I would do the same. If it comes to a client though, and again, it's not something I've had to deal with really, but I have worked in companies where it has been an issue, and actually, this is where I've learned this stuff from. It's very rare clients with actual grievances would leave a comment on work. If they've actually got something that they're really annoyed with you about, they won't leave a comment. They'll deal with you privately generally. If and this is separate to reviews, by the way, we're talking about a comment on an Instagram post or something. But even with reviews, I guess this is a tactic. So if they were to leave me, I would say I would comment on it. I'd say, oh, hi, blah 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 blah, really sorry to hear this. I will contact you and I'll sort this out for you, whatever it is, and I will sort this out for you. Leave the comment there. So then anyone reading that comment will go, well, here's one of their clients who's complained on social media, which is a bit of an odd thing to do. You would normally contact them, not. But anyway, there's someone's comment. And they put a comment saying, oh, it looks like they're sorting it. So actually that then brings it out. And then sort it out with the client privately away from social media is how I would deal with it. They might have a grievance that is an honest grievance, which you could sort out really easily. Or they could be, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some clients that do take the mickey, and you can try and negate that, but just doing it away from the social media clear. It's very rare you get genuine people complaining at you on social media, I guess.
I would, if you've got a client that's actually criticized your work, but not on social media, and they've emailed you about it, or they've actually spoken to you about it, they've contacted you directly, then there's a different way of dealing with that. Then you can deal with them firsthand. And I always think if you are going to make a complaint, a negative comment, don't do it on social media. If say I used a photographer or videographer and I wasn't happy with their work or what they've done, I wouldn't put the comment on social media. I wouldn't do that. I'd actually go back to them and say, look, I'm not overly happy with this, or you did this, that, what can we do? And the first thing you do is you try and see what you can do to rectify it. Okay, that's what you're always going to do. You have to give people the opportunity to rectify something. I think it's always wrong to criticize anybody from any industry. Okay, if they've done something and it's not been right for you, don't criticize them. See if they can rectify it first. Okay, give people an opportunity to sort it out. And they may need several reminders. They may need to, it may take a while for them to actually sort it out. But give people the opportunity to sort it out.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's how I would deal with it. I think to be honest, I get more negative. No, say they're not negative comments. I don't want to use the word negative for the podcast because they're not negative. They're different points of view. People who don't agree with me. And we had one on our reel last week, or even was it this week? I think it was. Well, by the time you guys are listening to this, it'll be last week. Just I said something about I'm an expert. If I've deleted an image, there's a reason for it, and all this kind of stuff. This is about giving raw files out. And someone put comments, you're not the expert. I'm paraphrasing. You're not the expert of my event. I know what is important to me. You don't. It was something along those lines. But for me, that comment completely missed what I was saying anyway. I'm talking about blinking and funny faces rather than it being a part of the event. But just leave it there. Just leave it. It's fine. They can have a different opinion. It doesn't bother me. That's what makes the world go round. Everyone has different opinions, and I see it as more of an argumentative comment than a negative comment. Does that make sense?
Yes, I would. Yeah, definitely. But just be. I think really what it comes down to is that we easily and naturally get very, very offended. And we have to take it really for what it is, and try and deal with it. And we're more open to this than ever before, and it will only increase. Okay, it won't get less, Okay, more and more, but there's going to be more and more keyboard warriors out there. That's
Yeah.
only growing quite a worryingly rapid rate.
One thing that
In
does,
my opinion.
one thing I think that has set us in good stead, and I'm not sure about your education on this, Cam, but
Mm,
you know, when I went through the education process, when it was, I mean, I did fine arts, I did graphics, I did photography, I did
mm.
a few. Whenever you finish a project, you do a crit. Did you ever do those?
Yeah,
Crit, yeah. So you
yeah, yeah,
basically, and for those who don't know what that is, a crit is it's short for critique, I guess. But you stand up in front of your classmates and the teacher, and you basically show your work, talk about your work, why you came to certain decisions, and blah 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 blah. And basically, you had to field comments from your classmates, whether they were negative or positive. I hated doing them. I
yeah,
think everybody hated doing them. I hated standing in front and saying, "This is the work I've done." Blah 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 blah. The teacher would always be the most scathing because that's what they're there to do, or
yeah,
and the most positive as well if they felt it was necessary. But I think that created a bit of a thick skin for me. I think that kind of helped me through. So now when I get a negative comment about my work, I'm like, ah, well, you know, that's their opinion. They're wrong, but that's their opinion, and just leave it at that. What worries me now, though, and I have spoken to teachers these days, is that things like crits are they were pretty much when I was doing it, they were pretty much mandatory. You couldn't get out of doing a
yeah,
crit. That's not
yeah.
the case these days. That's not the case these
Is it
days.
not? No, right.
No, people, it's very easy to get out of it now. You can tell it, I'm not comfortable with doing it, and therefore, you know, they don't have to do it anymore. And
I can believe that.
actually, that worries me because
Yeah,
if ever you needed
yeah,
a defense against negative comments, it's now with social media
yeah.
because it's more now than it ever used to be. When I
Uh,
was doing A levels, there was no social media, so I didn't get
yeah,
any of this from
yeah,
anywhere else. So I think if you're listening and you're a student and you're listening to this and you're feeling uncomfortable about doing a crit at the end of your project, you have to do it. You absolutely must. Of course, it's uncomfortable. I don't like doing it. I still wouldn't like to do it, but it's important. It really is because it helps you not necessarily a thick skin, but dealing with negative comments and also dealing with positive comments, like you were saying earlier, Cam. Learning how
mm,
to, you don't want your head to get too big, but also you don't want to hit the ground either because of whatever people are commenting about you. Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
really important to do it, so I do recommend doing it.
I think so, and you're right in what you say because where people can get out of it that much more easily now, can't they?
Yeah, they
They
can.
can say, well, I'm not in a great place at the moment, and if you give me some negative comments, I'm not going to be able to deal with it. I might have problems with it. It causes me
Mm.
anxiety. And hey, we're not making light of those things. Don't
No,
get me
no, no, no,
wrong,
no, not at all,
right?
not at all.
But those are the sort of things that also sort of from what you were saying, they sort of build character, don't they, as well?
Yeah,
They
I don't want to
make
use the word character. I don't want to use the word character because I think everyone has, even people who can't. It's about building a defense
yeah,
against these sorts of things, which will inevitably come your way if you're choosing a career in the arts. It doesn't even have to
mm,
be photography, whatever arts, acting,
mm,
stage, singing, whatever. You're gonna get people who are gonna say you're rubbish
of
when
course, yeah,
deep down you're not. And
yeah.
it's just doing these things just help you build a defense to that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Um, so yeah, I think interesting one to chat about. I think
Yeah.
everyone would have their own sort of personal opinion on this, but it certainly it affects a lot of people, and it can drive a lot of people, into real sort of into sort of mentally difficult problems. Really, if
Mm,
they overthink it, if they
yeah.
really get involved in it too much, they really it can really weigh down on you when it doesn't need to. When in most cases you should just ignore anything at all.
Absolutely,
And
because there are a range of people. There are a range of people who will comment. You'll have competitors who will always try and put you down. Um, you'll have people who may have a genuine interest in what you're doing and disagree with a path you've taken,
yeah,
and will be a bit more constructive, I guess. Those people, and then you'll just have idiots. And
yeah, of course,
unfortunately,
that's right. Yes,
the
yeah,
internet
that's
and
right. Yeah.
social media are full of idiots who
Would you
just
believe? Yeah,
want, yeah, who just want to troll you, and you've just got to work a way of dealing with that. Absolutely.
That's right. Yeah. Okay. Good stuff, Mark. I think food for thought, and
Food for thought.
be interesting what other people think as well.
Absolutely.
Good stuff. Okay, Mark, we're going to give a shout out to our patrons.
Yes, absolutely. So we have Frank Case, Amara Zainab, we've got Rob Percy, we've got Craig Chuck, we've got Nick Payne, Carl Sherville, and we had a new one, didn't we? We absolutely had a new one. Emily Brown. There we go.
Yeah, I knew we did, and I didn't want to say it because I'd forgotten Emily's name. I'm really sorry, Emily.
Absolutely. Sorry, Emily. Yes,
right.
we'll do better next time. But it's great that we got a new one there. But hey, Emily, you got a few more mentions. So
that's right. Yeah. Well
so
done, Emily Brown. Yeah,
but
there's another one.
And I know we mentioned this at the beginning. Please do check out our YouTube channel. We want to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please do check it out, and also check out our Patreon. And maybe you will get, well, you will, if you sign up to Patreon, you will get a mention at the end of the episode. And we are better than forgetting names. We are pretty good at it, actually.
Yeah. All right, good stuff. Thanks, Mark, and guys, we will see you next time.
Bye for now, guys.